The rain was coming down hard that night, the kind that turns the highway into a ribbon of blurred lights and broken reflections. If you've ever believed that one small moment can change an entire life, then stay with this story till the end, and if stories like this touch your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, because what you're about to hear is more than just a story, it's a reminder that fate never truly forgets us. Jake Miller wiped his greasy hands on an old red rag and glanced at the clock inside his beat-up pickup. It was past midnight, another long day at the garage, another promise to his daughter that he'd be home soon. Jake was a single dad and a mechanic, two jobs that never seemed to clock out. Ever since his wife passed away 7 years ago, life had been a constant balancing act between broken engines and bedtime stories, between overdue bills and holding his daughter Lily close when nightmares woke her up. The flashing blue and red lights ahead snapped him out of his thoughts. A police cruiser sat on the shoulder of the highway, hood up, hazard lights blinking weakly through the rain. Most cars slowed down but kept going. Jake did too, for about 3 seconds. Then he sighed, eased off the gas, and pulled over behind the cruiser. He didn't do it for praise or thanks. He did it because that's who he was. A man who couldn't ignore someone stranded on the side of the road, especially at night, especially in the rain. He grabbed his flashlight and stepped out into the cold. The officer was standing by the open hood, clearly frustrated, phone pressed to his ear. "Dispatch, I'll have to call a tow," the officer said, then looked up as Jake approached. "Sir, you don't have to stop. It's not safe. I'm a mechanic," Jake replied calmly. "Mind if I take a look?" The officer hesitated, then nodded. "If you're sure." Jake leaned over the engine, rain soaking through his jacket. He worked quickly, hands moving with muscle memory built over decades. "Loose belt, overheated, simple fix, really, should start now," Jake said after a few minutes, stepping back. The officer climbed into the driver's seat and turned the key. The engine roared to life. "Wow," the officer said, stepping out with a relieved smile. "I really appreciate that. What's your name, Jake?" The officer extended his hand. "Officer Daniel Harris." Jake froze. The rain, the road, the flashing lights, all of it seemed to fade as he slowly looked up at the officer's face. Older now, lines around the eyes, a badge on his chest instead of the uniform he once wore overseas. But Jake would recognize that face anywhere. Daniel noticed the change. "You okay, man?" Jake's throat tightened. You don't remember me, do you?" Daniel frowned, studying him more closely. "I'm sorry, have we met?" Jake let out a shaky breath. "Afghanistan, 2009, Kandahar province." Daniel's eyes widened slightly. "I was the one pinned under the Humvee," Jake continued, voice barely steady. "IED hit. You pulled me out. Took a bullet in the shoulder doing it." For a long moment, Daniel said nothing. Then his face softened, and his eyes glistened. "Jake," he whispered. "Jake Miller." Jake nodded. Daniel laughed softly, almost disbelieving, then pulled Jake into a tight hug right there on the side of the highway, rain and all. "I thought you didn't make it," he said. "They told me you were critical when they airlifted you." "I did," Jake replied. "Because of you." They stood there for a moment, two men bound by a memory neither had ever truly escaped. Daniel insisted on buying Jake coffee at a nearby diner before heading back on patrol. Over steaming mugs, they caught up on life. Daniel talked about becoming a cop after leaving the military, trying to serve in a different way. Jake talked about his wife, her illness, and raising Lily alone. "She's my whole world," Jake said, pulling out his phone to show a photo of Lily smiling with grease smudged on her cheek at the garage. Daniel smiled. "You did good, brother." Before they parted ways, Daniel hesitated. "Listen, if you ever need anything at all, you call me." Jake nodded, not knowing how much those words would soon matter. 2 weeks later, Jake's world began to unravel. The garage owner announced he was selling the place. Jake would be out of a job in a month. Then Lily's school called. She'd collapsed during recess. At the hospital, the doctor spoke words Jake wasn't ready to hear. A heart condition, surgery, expensive surgery. Jake sat alone in the hospital hallway that night, head in his hands, feeling smaller than he ever had under enemy fire. He thought of bills, of losing the garage, of the fear in Lily's eyes when she asked, "Daddy, am I going to be okay?" And then he remembered Daniel. It took him an hour to work up the courage to make the call. Daniel answered on the second ring. "I'm here," Daniel said after listening quietly. "You're not alone." What followed felt unreal to Jake. Daniel connected him with a veterans support network. The story of the single dad mechanic spread through the community. A fundraiser was organized. The police department chipped in. The garage owner, hearing Jake's situation, offered to sell him the shop at a fraction of the price, with flexible payments. The night before Lily's surgery, Jake sat by her bed, holding her tiny hand. "You're my hero, Daddy," she whispered. Jake smiled through tears. "No, sweetheart, heroes are the ones who show up when you least expect them." The surgery was a success. Lily recovered stronger than ever. Jake became the owner of the garage, naming it Second Chance Auto. On opening day, the first patrol car parked outside belonged to Officer Daniel Harris. As the years passed, Jake never forgot that night on the highway, the rain, the broken engine, the face he never forgot. He taught Lily that kindness has a way of circling back, that helping someone else might just save your own life someday. So if this story moved you, if it reminded you that even in the darkest moments there's hope, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Because stories like Jake's aren't just meant to be heard, they're meant to be shared.